Good afternoon. It's technically afternoon, not morning. Hello, hello, hello. It's your girl, Aisha, founder and CEO of Bossy Cosmetics. Hopefully you know that. It is Thursday. Hi, Stephanie's waving. Hello, Stephanie. It is Thursday at 12:01 p.m. here in Palo Alto, California. I am very excited to be back on IG Live. I haven't been on IG Live in a while, and if you have been following our stories and our feed, you will know that my family and I went to West Africa, Nigeria specifically, where I'm from, and we went to visit my family there. And so the 8 or 9 hour time difference was too difficult to do IG Lives, as well as everything else that was going on in my life. So very excited to kick up again. I have Vidya joining us, and Vidya's just joined. I'm waving to people as they come in. Haven't done an IG Live in a while, and we're kicking back off again. I'm going to try to do them every week or sort of every other week. Vidya is my guest today. Vidya has just chimed in. You love my yellow frames? Thank you. Actually, let me put STEM. I'm going to put the topic. Vidya, please request to join me and I will accept. STEM talk with Vidya. And we are going to talk all things being an amazing woman, being a boss, working in tech, being an angel investor. And I'm really excited for the Bossy community to meet Vidya, because Vidya is an amazing woman. And I'll let her tell you her own story when she joins us. Vidya, can you wave and show me that you're actually in here and that you can request to join? Hi, Vidya. Can you print something or just put something in there? Hello, everybody. Please let me know if you guys are on this chat and you can hear me. I haven't done an IG Live in a while, and it feels like, hello. I'm waving to folks as they come in. Feels like I'm having to learn. Okay, there we go. View request.
Woo-hoo-hoo. Love your eyeglasses. Thank you. I always try to match my glasses with either my mood or my outfit. And today it's a bit of both. Hey!
Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly. I can't see you too well, though.
Yeah, I was trying it on my Chromebook. It's not, I don't have an option from there. So
Okay. Can we
I'm
see?
using my phone. I'm using my phone. Can you see me?
Okay, I can see you, but not that well. So can you see? I can see, there you go, what you can see. Perfect.
Okay, one sec. Let me try to.
Welcome, welcome. I was just saying hello to
Welcome.
everyone and telling them my lips are ashy. I literally just hopped out of the shower. Let me put some shea butter on my lips. I just hopped out of the shower. I'm waving to folks as they come. And I was just saying that I used to do these IG Lives very often. But then, as you know, I went to Nigeria for a month with my family. And between the time difference and, everything else, I couldn't do these IG Lives. So very excited to be back and super excited to introduce you to the Bossy Cosmetics community. So I love to let people introduce themselves, and then I have a bunch of super friendly questions. We're a friendly crew, the Bossy team, and our audience are just, as you know, self-identifying, ambitious women. And we talk about all things beauty, all things, if you're a mom, if you're not a mom, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a full-time worker. And really for us, these IG Lives are an opportunity to just connect our audience to a different way of thinking. And obviously, I respect you immensely, given your background in STEM, given your background in a male-dominated environment, working at Google, and all the other amazing things that you've done. So why don't you take a couple of minutes, very brief, introduce yourself, and then I'll hop into some questions.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Aisha. I'm super, super excited to be here and to meet everybody. And this is my first IG Live, so I had some hiccups with the devices, but you always get to learn something new every day. So thank you again. So yeah, so let me introduce myself. I'm Vidya Nagarajan. Hi, everybody. And let's see, I think I just love everything that intersects with fashion and technology and women, and especially strong and confident women. So I think that whole thing and that mission completely connects with me deeply. It connects deeply with my soul. And I have been in the technology field, let's see, forever. Let's put it that way. So I started my education, back in Kuwait. I grew up in Kuwait, and then I moved to India. And everybody practically in India either is a doctor or an engineer. And I picked up engineering. Maybe I'm going into the details too soon.
No,
but
it's fine. It's perfect. This will help me when I'm asking questions. The audience will understand where it's coming from.
And I moved to engineering, but one thing that was very clear is I always loved science. I loved the field of, somehow connecting, whether it's biological sciences or technology sciences, which was very new in those days, right? Back in the late 90s. And I moved on to studying my computer science and engineering. And then I did my master's in business administration because I wanted to get that business background. It was very important for me to connect the business side of things with the technology side of things. And then I started as a consultant. I worked in the consulting field, and I just loved connecting with customers and users and talking to people. That just gives me so much of an energy. I kind of thrive in it, in that environment.
Yeah.
And I realized very quickly that, I loved product management, and that's where I am. And right now I head product management at Google. Been here for about 14 years and worked on a variety of different products.
So hold on. Let's not, this is so, let slow down, because I will not allow you to do what a lot of women do, which is drop and, no, not even speaking fast, but like drop an unbelievably amazing bomb and then just keep going.
Yeah.
You say what you do again at Google, because everybody in the world who is maybe over the age of 2 knows what Google is, right? Like, it's in our lexicon now. Everybody Googles something, whether they're actually using Google or not. So household name extraordinaire. Say what you do again, because I think this is super important.
Sounds good. So I head product management at Google. And I look after the enterprise and the education spaces. That's my background. So which means, work. So if you're using software like Gmail and Calendar and Docs or Google Workspace, a lot of the sausage making behind the scenes happens with my team. And so
how many people are on this team?
It's a very big team. So, we have a team of thousands of people, right? So it's a very big team. And, the teams are typically organized to support different aspects of the product, but the particular aspect of the product that I drive is something that is called identity. And it's very interesting, right? You think about identity in a technology world, but it's also about identity as a person, right? Yeah. And that's also something that resonates with me, because you always think about, who do I identify myself with, right? Yeah. Am I a woman? Am I a mother? Am I a working mom? What is my identity, right? Yeah. And we all, in some sense, don so many hats. And in some sense, you're also trying to relate that with technology, right? What is your identity as you are working through different pieces of end user software, right? What's your identity as you're going through Gmail and moving to Docs and moving to Calendar, or moving to the Google Cloud Platform, right? Yeah. What does identity mean there? So it's an interesting, piece of exercise.
So let me ask you this, because as somebody who, runs a tech-enabled business in the middle of Silicon Valley, what I don't see, I'm in the beauty industry specifically, so consumer products and beauty, I see a lot of female founders. Mm-hmm. But what I definitely know from sort of hardcore tech product manager, big companies, not even Google size, like, notches below, it is almost rare for me to find a female, not only just a product manager, but a senior product manager or someone heading a team. Can you talk to me about, how lonely is it for you as a woman? Like, are there a lot of women at your level? How do you feel if they're not? I really want to dig into that. What is the power of one? How does it feel?
So I think, one thing that has become very, very clear for a lot of technology companies, or not just technology companies, for companies in general, is diversity is important. right? And the more diverse the workforce is, the better outcomes you can accomplish and
For
achieve,
sure.
right? You can
Sure.
create better products. You can create better end users who are actually going to use your products, right? Because ultimately, what's the point of creating products if nobody's going to use it,
Yep.
right? So with that goal in mind, right, every company, Google included, right, we all focus a lot on diversity. For instance, I lead the engagement pillar for the diversity, equity, and inclusion charter, right, for Google Workspace, right? And we focus a lot in making sure that everybody is included, right? Everybody is included, whatever your beliefs, whatever your gender, whatever your ethnicity, whatever your race. It's all about building an inclusive community. And I believe in that very strongly. So with that being said, there are a lot of women, right? And it's amazing to see the advances that and progress that we have made as a society, I'd say, in terms of reducing the gap, right? The gender gap between women as well as men, especially as you look at fields of in STEM, right? Because I was just thinking about this the other day, you know, because I have two girls. And it was so interesting that, you know, growing up, especially with my children, right? The first thing that you think about is, oh, if it's a boy, provide him with clothes that are blue in color, right? And if it's a girl, you provide the girl with clothes that are pink in color, right? Pink clothes. You just associate those gender colors so young and so early in age. And then you try to see, can you just change that? And it's so interesting, again, that I remember about 20 years ago, we were living in Wisconsin before we moved to California. And then I realized I cannot take the Wisconsin winters. I have to move to, you know, a sunny place. And we had some friends visiting, and, you know, I was pretty young then. And, you know, and I was, you know, it was all about women empowerment. And I wanted to make sure that, you know, more women come to STEM and, you know, are knowledge aware and are self-aware and all of that. And this lady, she just had a baby, and it was a girl baby, and extremely adorable. And I was insistent that we have to give a gift, which was gender neutral, right? And I insisted on getting a gift, which was actually green in color. It wasn't blue, it wasn't pink, it was green. But surprisingly, the mother did not appreciate that, right? And she was like, what kind of a gift is that? I would have preferred a yellow or a pink. But it just got me thinking, especially as I had kids, right? I wanted to make sure that my girls were exposed to technology early in life, right? And so what I'm trying to say is, the more as parents, right, we expose the younger generation to technology. And by that, it's not just technology as in giving them a gadget and they're on TV all the time. No, my point is very deliberate introduction of technology. And that could be make them more curious, make them more aware, right, about have inquisitive minds, right? Like, for instance, talk to them about the applications of technology. Right? So in the 90s, when I was growing up, right, we didn't know what technology meant. We didn't know what the internet meant. I remember to talk to my husband, because he was studying in the United States. I would go to an internet cafe to send him an email, and the email would be seen by the administrator of the cafe, and he would see my email, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what kind of, all my love letters to my husband are actually being read by somebody else. How embarrassing is that, right? But my point is, 90s, that's what we were exposed to. But look at it today, right? Gadgets are in your fingertips, but that is happening. It's only because the more you expose them about what the future can be, right? And the future is going to be different, right? Today, the future looks like it's YouTube, or it's Instagram, or it's Pinterest. I mean, the future is
TikTok, right? Everything. And not just social media. Why I think women in STEM, or girls in STEM, is such a critical discussion is, you know, software is literally eating the world, right? It's literally changing. I mean, if you think, you know, 20, 30 years ago, the largest corporations were, you know, ExxonMobil, Texaco, Chevron, those types of companies. And now it's Google, Amazon, like everybody in tech. Apple is just, you know, creating so much value that is changing the way we see the world. And one of the things that I always talk about in the Bossy community is follow the money. Like, that is my saying. Everything I'm like, follow the money, even when we talk about diversity and inclusion and all these things. And I love that you mentioned that the outcomes are better with diverse teams, right? Because follow the money. And I think that as we are seeing such an explosion in wealth creation in the world that is predominantly coming from the tech sector, you know, for us to follow the money in various communities, we actually need to make sure there are diverse people in STEM fields, right? And it's been, for me, the last year has been exciting to, you know, if you look at even the guys and gals, sorry, who came up with the, you know, the new vaccine, it's an incredibly diverse team. I mean, it's a bunch of people of different races, different ethnicities, you know, first generation Americans, not even American citizens, you know, just, it's a beautiful kaleidoscope actually. And I think for me, what I love actually about the STEM industry, if you take the gender lens off, is it is probably one of the diverse industries in the United States of America. If you look at the ethnicities of people who work in Silicon Valley, I'm not sure there's any industry more diverse.
Very true. I completely plus 1,000 that, right? And that's what makes it also beautiful, right? And it just creates that synergy, creates that collaboration, right? And, you know, you can just achieve the impossible, right? And I truly believe that.
So let me ask you, you know, I hear a lot from young, you know, sort of middle school, high school girls, you know, they're not so hot on math. Math isn't, you know, they like the, you know, more English or the more creative, well, boys are kind of encouraged. And I don't know if this comes from the teachers. I don't know where it comes from, but I've always felt like math and the interest in sciences is the bedrock of what's going to take you through STEM. Yeah. So do you think, I mean, I don't have daughters, but, you know, do you think that this is changing in terms of encouraging young girls to be passionate about math and, you know, the sciences so that they then pursue, you know, these science fields?
I think it's very important, right? And I think it's the word that you use, the bedrock. And I think that's really, really critical for us to anchor ourselves to, because unless you have a strong foundation to start with, it's going to make it very difficult in terms of what your future career, whatever it may be, is going to look like, right? And this is, again, an advice I keep giving my teenage daughters now, right? I keep telling them, don't think that your career needs to be a product manager or it needs to be an engineer. Absolutely not. But you need to build that curiosity, right? And the interest to want to be challenged, right? That's basically what it is, right? Not every problem that comes out to you is going to be easily solvable. Yeah. Where is the excitement in that, right? Yeah. But instead, think of it as a puzzle. And you are getting that puzzle and you're working to put that together and you're immersed in it. And then at the end of it, right, you have a solution to it. Yeah. And the solution can take many different forms. Yeah. It could start with a manual solution. Later on, you decide that the solution needs to scale. And to scale, you probably need to apply some math algorithms to it. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And then you realize that I really want to scale it further. And so I probably need to use some computers. I need to code. Yeah. And then you realize that, okay, I'm not a coder myself, but maybe I will learn how to code. Yeah. Right? Yeah. But I'm doing it for, again, it's the journey. It's the process. That's the way I look at it. Yeah. It's not the destination, right? The destination is not that, oh, I need to be an engineer. That's not the destination. The destination is there is a problem there and there is a big problem there. How can I be a part of providing a solution that can actually have or create a big impact? If you think of it along those lines, then the entire journey and process just becomes beautiful. And then you don't feel, then you're actually, you have something that I call a deep sense of purpose. You know? Yes. When you build that deep sense of purpose, then you're always going to be curious, whether you're a 5-year-old or whether you're a 50, 70-year-old. I'll give you this example of my mother, right? She is 65 years old right now. She is as inquisitive and curious as a child, right? And sometimes I would say probably even more than I am, right? She is constantly in this mode of self-learning, right? Learning. And, you know, I think I told you, Aisha, too, about my holistic innovation, my platform,
yes,
right?
We're going to talk about that shortly.
For mental health. It's her brainchild, right? She started it, but it started as this complete exercise that she wanted to help her mother, right? Her mother who was actually going through a very bad spouts of bad health, right? It started with that, and then it soon took on a completely different form of how can I help millions of people, right, achieve their dreams.
I love
But
it.
but it started with the emotion. Like, she's constantly learning, right? So I go in the morning, I check in on her, and she's like, I'm just doing some learning right now. Can you come back like in an hour or two?
So I
Right?
loved what you talked about curiosity. And it is something that I teach my kids. It's something that I constantly harp on myself, that the minute you're not curious, it's almost like, what is the point of being alive? Like this constant quest. And I love also that you said it's not the destination, it is the journey. Because I almost feel like as a life, first of all, I mean, not to get morbid, none of us knows the day we die, right? And so this constant focus on destination, which in our culture now is like, I have X many dollars in my bank account, or I have this title, or, it's always this thing we're always reaching for. But that, first of all, if you get it, the minute you get it, you're going to want something else, right? So the goal keeps moving. And what we're not focusing on is the journey. Like, are you learning? Are you developing? Are you having impact on anyone broader than just yourself? Or how are you affecting the world? And so I love that you talk about that and how you relate that to technology, right? Like, what is the problem? How do you use technology to be so curious about this issue that you're so focused on it that you either single-handedly or bring resources together to work towards the solution? So now we've talked about how you are a boss at Google. First of all, how? I want to talk now about side hustles, right? Because, it's been a thing for a very long time. I had a side hustle when I was a full-time investment banker. I was working on a media project that I was super passionate about. And people always ask me how I had the time to do that, right? Like raising 3 kids, running investment banking, and doing a side hustle. And I was like, when you're super passionate about something, like it's not spending time. It's not time. It's just the time moves, you love it. So talk to me about this side hustle, this holistic business. I want to hear about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly what you said, right? It's when you really enjoy something, it ceases to be like, oh my God, this is an additional thing that I actually have to invest my resources and my energy and time.
So first of all, tell us what that holistic platform is.
Yes,
I think it's important.
Yes, absolutely. So holistic innovation is actually a platform that brings people together so that you actually have the tools that are needed to make yourselves feel happy, right? A lot of us, all of us, especially in the past year with the pandemic, we've been cooped in at home. We don't have a social life, right? Much of our interaction probably is through Zoom or video conferencing. Exactly. The connection, the human connection is lost. And so what we find is it creates a lot of mental and emotional problems, right? So studies have shown that when you are not feeling well, right? When you actually have a disease or you have an illness, a lot of the disease and illness actually starts. It starts showing from your emotional problems, right? It starts from your mental and emotional problems. So there is this whole concept of holistic health.
Okay.
So you define something as holistic health as something that goes beyond the physical manifestations of what a healthy person is. But it's tying together the aspects of your physical, your mental, your emotional, and your spiritual pieces together. And it's tying all these pieces together and then defining what a healthy person is. So what really happened is I got into this journey, right, about 20 years ago. And, I was like, in and out of it, right? I would do it when I had the time and, you're studying and, things like that. And then what happened was, I think over a period of time, as you start working and you get into the workplace, I think we should all accept it, right? It is a set of tools that you need to figure out how to handle work, right? Because in a work environment, you are going to meet different types of people, right? So it is a special skill to figure out how do you handle people, right? How do you handle people? And in extremely matrixed environments, how do you influence without authority? How do you get things done? And when you're going through this process, it can create a lot of stress within yourself, right? And a lot of pent up stress, right? Because you need to get something done and you find that the other person is not listening to you, is not engaging with you. And then you get probably angry and you get annoyed and either you can lash out or it can just, holed up inside. So it's the notion of how do you make sure that you create a perfect balance between what's happening at work, what's happening at home, and you just start getting more self-aware, right? It builds your awareness skills.
So let me, I don't want to interrupt you, but I want to make sure I'm thinking about this in the right way, because as you rightly said, you know, the last year, 2-3 months have been the most traumatic for all 7 billion of us on the planet right now, right? It's been really, really hard. And I would say for me personally, 2020, I dropped all of my core coping skills, right? Because I was in sort of fight or flight mode. And I was in the protect the young, protect the children, protect life, like make sure everybody's got like food, clothing, shelter, and find a way to kind of hunker down. And what that meant was for a while, I completely abandoned self-care. I completely, you know, I allowed actually high levels of anxiety to get to me, right? Because of what was going on in the world and internally. And then if I flip now to 2021, the way I've thought about what you're talking about, this sort of holistic approach to physical, emotional, mental, you know, I've completely changed the way I eat. I have completely changed the way I live. I work out every single day. Like I have focused on self-care, but I don't go to the spa. I mean, people have not been going to spas for the last year, but taking time out for myself, taking time out for each of my children, taking time out for my business, and taking time for quiet. So I have really revolutionized personally the way I interact with emotional, mental, and physical. Is that what you mean by this holistic wellness?
Yes, that's a large part of it. But what I would add to it is all of us have deep-seated emotions that have lodged into our psyche for years and years, right? So self-care helps. If you're all alone by yourself, that helps. But how many of us really spend our times in complete solitude, right? We have to interact with the world.
Yeah.
So think of this as a platform that provides you with the tools to actually clear a lot of your beliefs. So for instance, we offer a lot of trainings and live sessions to actually provide you with healing techniques, right?
Okay.
And these healing modalities really help you instantaneously, right? It helps you go and work and clear your different belief levels, belief systems.
Okay.
All of us carry deep-rooted beliefs, right? Whether it's beliefs that we carry from our ancestors, genetic beliefs, right? Like we have certain beliefs, right? This is all that I'm capable of doing. I am a woman. As a woman, this is my place in society. I need to sit at home. I need to be a housewife. I cannot work, right? This is a lot of this deep-rooted beliefs that were there in my family, right? If I think about my great-grandmother or my grandmother. So a lot of these type of beliefs, right? So many people find that they cannot move ahead in their life or achieve their dreams if these beliefs are blocking you. So a lot of these tools that we offer helps you go deep to clear these limiting beliefs. So when you clear these limiting beliefs, then the potential is infinite, right? Because that's when it starts. Think of it like reprogramming your brain.
Absolutely. So it's interesting because now I'm going to take this almost back to your day job, right? Yeah. Which is if you almost, and for all of us, whatever our day jobs are, you know, most of the time you can only be what you believe you're going to be. You can only succeed to the extent that you actually believe that you can, right? The sky is the limit, but where you see the sky is your limit. So are you saying that you this focus is removing that limitation, whatever your limitation is?
Absolutely, right? Because it is basically telling you that think about what you'd like to achieve. What is your dream, right? And then you may have a bunch of limiting beliefs and barriers which actually prevent you from achieving those. So now it provides you with a systematic set of tools and techniques. So think about it this way. So are you familiar with, there are different brain waves, you know? So as a human being, the way the brain operates is, brain goes through different brain frequencies. There is something called the alpha brainwave, beta brainwave, theta brainwave.
Definitely not familiar.
So it's basically the cycles of the brain that, as to how the brain operates, depending on how you feel. So for instance, when you're sleeping and you're in a dreamlike state, and that is like, it's called the theta state, right? You're in a dreamlike state. Right now, I'm talking with you. I'm highly engaged. We're having fun. I'm in the alpha state, right? Okay. So what happens is when you are in this dreamlike state, when you're in the theta state, you find that a lot of healing takes place, and you find that a lot of your intuition, your intuitive abilities actually get heightened.
Okay.
And so that's the reason, if you think about it, they say as a human body, you need to have at least 8 hours or so of sleep, because when you're sleeping, your cells are getting repaired, your body is getting repaired, right? So it helps you physically, but what it also helps you is when you are in that same brainwave state as you are when you are in deep sleep.
Yeah.
And when you're able to, right now, I can go into a theta state and I can actually go really deep. And then you, with focused intention, you can actually clear a lot of your beliefs and you can actually set about achieving what you want. And that's
okay, so you and I are going to have a session.
Yeah, we should. We should.
Because so for full disclosure, I should let everybody, well, not full disclosure, I put it on IG. Vidya is Bossy Cosmetics' newest advisor. So she is also a partner to me on this journey. And so I'm also learning how to tap further into you, you know, on this journey as well, because I think that your notion around, you know, limiting beliefs is really unbelievable. And I'll tell you where it comes from. And I would love to, you know, once we understand a little bit more of this, I think you should do a session for female entrepreneurs. And let me tell you why I think it's important. Obviously, as a female entrepreneur, I know a lot of other female entrepreneurs. We talk a lot, many of us who are just embarking on fundraising. And I can tell you without a doubt, every single female founder I speak to is horrified at having to fundraise, right? The level of anxiety in every single conversation is high. Everybody thinks it's awful. The women of color generally believe that they're not going to be able to fundraise, right? So they are already, we start up the fundraising process already petrified that we're not going to raise the money. And I think this, for me, you know, I was in a webinar the other day where a founder said, we have to stop this. Like, if we start the process with, this is so awful, this is so painful, nobody gives women money anyway, less than 3% of VC dollars go to women, and, you know, maybe 2% of that goes to women of color. Yes, those are the stats, but if we've already taken those stats and owned them, then you're not going to raise the money anyway. And so I love this notion of a woman who is successful, you know, talking about how the practice of removing these limiting beliefs so that you can then go live the life that you have dreamed for yourself.
Totally. Yeah. So you should absolutely, we should do it. Let's do it.
So we are going to do it, Vidya. Like, I just need you to tell me what we need to do to set it up. And I know so many female entrepreneurs, so getting the group is easy. And so many of us have, you know, these huge, huge dreams, right? Yeah. But then when it gets to the reality of making those dreams come true, we then begin to have these voices in our head say, yeah, but you can't raise $10 million for this, or yeah, but you can't get into this retailer yet. You're not ready, right? So I love this notion of, you know, first of all, you've got to believe it, and you've got to believe it deep in your soul and your heart.
Exactly.
So tell me, let's talk about, I know you're an angel investor as well.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. How did you get into that? So not only are you product manager at Google, not only do you have this side hustle, she's also an angel investor and an advisor to startups. Okay. How did you become an angel investor? Talk about that.
So I think, so if you look at my background, right, 20 years being in the technology field, and my interest has always been in going after that problem, right, where there is a problem and finding if that is an opportunity, and then making that opportunity into a reality, right? If that opportunity can have huge impact, then I want to be a part of it, right? And that's essentially the way I've always approached every opportunity in my life. And most of my early gigs, especially even at Google, right, it has all been these early stage projects or early stage products, which some of which started as ideas, right? As an example, Google Workspace, you know, Gmail and Calendar as we know it, they were purely consumer products. When I joined Google back in the day, I was part of that initial team where we actually took Workspace, which used to be called as Google Apps for your domain, to businesses and to schools, right? It started back in 2007. And similarly, in 2011, when I moved to Chrome OS, right, I was in the founding team for Chromebooks for Education. So it was like, how can I still remember, right? I used to literally do cold calling, right? Trying to see how can I get Palo Alto School District, where my kids go to school, actually adopt Chromebooks.
Yeah.
It was a difficult journey, right? But it's in some sense resonates with me as a startup founder, such as yourselves, journey, right? Because what you're trying to do is there is an interesting opportunity, and deep in your heart and your soul, you know it is going to be big, right?
Yes.
And you don't want to give up, right? And that's part of the quality of being an entrepreneur as well as a leader, right? It's that persistence, and it's that optimism, evergreen optimism,
doggedness, and the tenacity, right? And the grit.
Exactly, the grit, right? So it's like you may face a lot of rejections and no's, right? But eventually it will become a yes. And that's kind of what I even experienced when I was in the process of building Chromebooks, right? That's exactly the journey. So what I'm trying to say, it might be a long-winded answer, but I've always gravitated towards finding such opportunities. And so that's how I kind of got into angel investing as well, right? It was this whole idea of, can I spot these nuggets of opportunities, right? And these opportunities could be either consumer opportunities, or they could even be enterprise opportunities. And then the type of, support and partnership could vary, right? It could be funds, or it could be advising, or it could be different types of actual support that can actually help bootstrap, right, a lot of these startups. So that's essentially how I got in. Right now, one of the initiatives I'm involved is I'm the founding limited partner of a South Asian women-run fund called Netri, and it's an amazing fund, right? And it's all to do with empowering women, and they're largely investing in startups, right, that are women-run, South Asian women-run. So, and it's in the enterprise space, but it's very, very, for me, deeply, I love to be part of movements, which I know is going to have long-lasting impact, and it's making a difference, right? It's making a difference in society, right? And that's very important to me. In terms of maybe my values, right? In terms of who I am and where I want to be, because I kind of tied back to what I said initially. I look at all this as a journey, right? It's not the destination, right? It's not that I need to be, people think about a 5-year plan and a 10-year plan. I don't really believe in the 5-year plan and 10-year plan. That's not what matters to me, right? What I always think about is, what is my purpose in life, right? And what are the kind of things I want to do to feel content, and to get that feeling of fulfillment, right? And if I feel fulfilled, then I feel that it's done, right? Because then you're happy in the process. And when you're happy, to your point, you can take on many side hustles, but they don't feel like a burden, right?
Exactly.
You just enjoy the process. And it gives you a meaning to live in life, right? Because life is so short.
Absolutely. So I listen to podcasts every day on my morning walks, and I listened to one yesterday by Oprah. I think it was on her Super Soul Sunday. And she talked about how she'd been a successful, obviously, she had her own show for 25 years, top. And then she left on the top, and then she went to found her own network. And in the beginning, it was a struggle, right? It wasn't doing very well. And she had been approached by the president of Harvard University to be the convocation speaker. And she was really self-conscious. She really struggled. She was like, this is a once in a lifetime ask, right? Where the president of Harvard asks you to come speak to the whole of Harvard University. Like, you don't say no to that. But she felt a bit weird because she had a career that looked like this, but in her mind, she was on the down. And so she felt like, how am I going to go with all these news articles out talking about how I've lost my shine and I've lost my way? How am I going to go out and have the confidence to speak to Harvard? And she said something very similar to what you're talking about, which is the way I interpreted it was, it's not about, are you a success or are you a failure? It's, are you doing the work? Are you doing the work that matters? And she stopped looking at the destination, as you call it, which was that OWN becomes the biggest network and it's all successful and right? Because she had done that with the Oprah Winfrey Show already. And that destination, once she got there, she wanted another destination. So she decided to not only look at destination, but to look at the process, right? And for her, it was about, I have the privilege every day to create new shows, to bring new talent to the marketplace. And she looked at her life completely differently, as every day was a privilege to create. And honestly, it was like she slapped me in the face yesterday when I was listening to the podcast, because so many times I have said to myself, like, where should I be? Where should I be right now in my life? Like, where should my business be right now? And I'm constantly checking if I'm checking those boxes. But when I listened to that yesterday, I said to myself, actually, I have such a privilege to create products every day. I have such a privilege to meet a new customer and new experiences. And yesterday we got this really beautiful review from a customer who not only shared a picture, but she talked about how much she loves the brand. She bought this lipstick called Ambitious, and how she feels so, I mean, she did a whole post on how she loves the brand, and, you know, and all this stuff. And it just, you know, those are the days where you're like, don't forget why you're doing this, right? It's not just, I mean, creating high quality, beautiful products is a main part of the business model, but really what you're doing is this elevated experience and making women feel that, you know, go ahead, achieve your goals, do what it is that you were born to do. You got this, you can do it. So I just wanted to share that, because I completely, and I suspect that's why you and I get along so well. So much of what you believe, when I hear it, I'm like, oh my God, I get it completely. I'm completely with her. Anything else that you want to share with the community as we wrap up? I try to keep these as 45 minutes, but we may go over that.
I'm super excited to be a part of the Bossy community. I think there's so much of opportunity here, especially as we, as you know, women band together, because I think there's a saying, right? As women, as we support each other, and we can go on to do great things, right? I think it's like the infinity is there's nothing is impossible, right? You can just break all sorts of ceilings that are set up for you. And I truly believe in that. And I think I'm just looking forward, right, to seeing what type of experiences we can build together to, you know, empower each other, uplift each other, and feel good, right? Feel good about yourself.
Absolutely.
I think that's the most important thing.
Absolutely. I see a question here. Can Vidya share her beauty regime with us, her skincare and hair care products as well? By the way, you have so much hair. That is, I'm like, what? She has more hair than she knows what to do with. So beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Oh yeah, I would love to share my travel experience.
By the way, if you guys haven't seen this picture of Vidya on the feed, the picture in Santorini of this just billowing red, beautiful dress, that's Vidya. You can't really see her face, but the picture is just like, the picture screams bossy, literally. So first of all, tell us about your skincare, hair care, beauty regimen. Let's hear about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see. So it's actually not very complicated. Like, I absolutely make sure that I don't leave the house without sunscreen. So I make sure I wear that. And then before I go to sleep, I am very particular about, you know, washing my face, using a cleanser to clean it up, and then wear a moisturizer. I do have sensitive skin, and it's funny that I think I'm growing old and I'm still breaking out. I do break out. So I'm very particular to keep my skin really clean. Okay. And I really love, it's not that I'm a brand ambassador for Bossy, but I do love the Bossy lipsticks beauty line. It's so amazing. I'm wearing one now. And
you always represent us really well. Thank you.
No, but I really do like it. It's really, it's not sticky, you know, it's got the perfect feel. So, and I just wear a light lipstick usually when I go out, or a lip gloss, but I don't wear heavy makeup. So I try to avoid that. So that's typically what I do.
Beautiful.
Oh, thank you. I don't know if I'm naturally beautiful. We all women are beautiful. What am I saying?
We all are in our own way. Absolutely.
Yeah. Totally.
And so tell us, 150 countries and counting.
Yes. Thank you for bringing that up.
Is your goal to just like be in every country?
Yeah, so here's the thing, right? I figured as, you know, as I got deeper into my practices, right, into my spiritual practices and all of that, what I realized, one thing is, I connected deep within myself to realize, what do I really, truly enjoy doing in life? And two things that came up with is, I love being around people. I love connecting with people. And especially what I realized is I love learning about new cultures. You know, how do people in different places live? And I always think about, you know, I go into this whole time machine. I'll always think, I wish there was a time machine and I can go back to 3 generations during my great grandma. So you know, growing up as a child, I'll always keep asking questions to my parents. Yeah. What happened with your great grandmother? What did they do? Can you tell me how it looked like? And so I've been actually writing, you know, genealogy stories, right? In terms of, you know, 3 generations before, what did my great great grandmother do and stuff. I did all of that last year, you know, during the pandemic. But coming back to my travel things, that's when I realized that I really want to travel and, you know, understand, right? How does humanity and people in general work together? What are different places? So my favorite type of vacation is actually not a beach vacation. It's historical vacations, right?
Oh, wow.
I love going to places to understand history. So I think maybe I should also be an archaeologist because I really love that, right? I love you know, I remember when we'd been to Turkey. Was it Turkey? Yeah, we'd been to Turkey and we'd been to this place where there were layers and layers of history, right? Yeah. So it started with, there was this Roman history and then there was Greek.
I need to send you this. Do you have our eyeshadow palette?
I don't. I need to use it. I just see that thing about where do you want to travel.
City. Each is a different city that I've been to. And exactly, I picked cities where every time I went, I saw the most amazing, gorgeous, beautiful women who were just like had it all together. So I know exactly what you mean, you know, with the love of travel. But anyway, go ahead. You were saying about Turkey.
So that's basically, so we went there and I remember feeling this, you know, I almost had this out of body experience thinking that, oh my God, I had goosebumps, right? I'm like, I'm standing on the same soil, which had people millions of years ago living, right? And they actually described it, right? Cities built one layer on top of the other, right? Anyway, so that's essentially how it started. And I think I grew up in Kuwait and, you know, I went through the whole Gulf War and, you know, we left and as refugees. And so, you know, we traveled quite a bit then, right? So it was a traumatic experience, but the point is you know, got exposed pretty early on to the notion of travel, right? So it was not just about staying in one place where you were stationary. Yeah. And so from then on, it started with, okay, let me now just start. So I have a huge world map in my kitchen. And so literally when I eat dinner, last year was difficult. I didn't do any traveling.
Where to go next.
That's literally what I do, right?
So where are you going next? Tell us.
I really, you won't believe it. I had an entire trip to Africa booked last year, right? It was literally seeing all of West Africa, right? It was booked to Dakar and it was booked to Guinea. It was literally all of West Africa, right? Sierra Leone and Ivory Coast.
Nice.
I had to cancel everything.
This was last year, right?
Last year. Okay. So I had to cancel everything. Everything was booked and I was ready to go. And then it was unfortunate. So I'm still looking forward to, because I have seen a lot of East Africa, but not as much of West Africa. I've been to Ghana and Togo because I have an uncle who lives there. So, but yeah, there's so much of Africa that's unexplored that I want to spend a lot of time there.
Well, when you're ready, let me know. You know, I'm West African. So when you're ready, let me know. I'll try to make sure I'm around at the same time. So at least I can give you some tours of Lagos, which is the city that I
would love that.
So my final question to you as we wrap up, what are the 3 things that you wish somebody told you, or what do you wish your 21-year-old self knew that you know now? What 3 things?
Yeah. I've thought about this quite a bit, right? And I think the most important thing I would say is be confident. That's number 1. Be confident about yourself, right? And I think each of our definitions of what makes you confident is very different. Yeah. But for the person looking from outside, it doesn't matter, right? So be confident, stand for yourself, be bold, and eventually you're kind of a mirror image. It's about what you're projecting to the outside world, right? So, you know, it's this whole notion that keeps coming up, right? I keep hearing about these articles and imposter syndrome and what that means and stuff. And I always believe embrace it, right? Don't think of it as an imposter syndrome. And it all starts with confidence, right? How are you everything, because it's part of that growth mindset, right? Because if you approach the notion or approach life with the notion that you're learning something every day, right? Learning doesn't stop. It's part of curiosity and learning. Yeah. Then when you're learning something every day, obviously you will not know things, right? Because you're learning. You're constantly learning.
Yeah.
And so if you are able to incorporate or integrate confidence with learning, that's the best way to
it.
actually move ahead, right? So that's
Integrate confidence with learning. Okay, that's the
one.
first.
Second one is definitely take a mentor, right?
Okay.
And I can't stress that enough because the mentor can come in different forms, right? It can be mentors in your own family, right? It could be your mom, it could be your sister, it could be a close friend, but somebody who can be your close confidant, right? Who you can share, who can actually give you critical feedback, right? That can help you improve, because sometimes you tend to overlook. You may not be self-aware, right? When you're very young. I don't think I was very self-aware when I was very young, right? I think
who is
it's part of my daughter. Oh my goodness. My older daughter is one of the most self-aware individuals I've seen for a 17-year-old. So when I keep looking at her, I keep thinking, oh my God, I was not self-aware at her age. But, but my point is, with these different tools and as you keep practicing and, the different modalities and get deeper into your practice, you start becoming more self-aware, right? But I cannot stress enough the importance of taking a strong mentor.
Okay.
And mentor can be any gender, right? It doesn't have to be a female mentor, right? It could also be a male mentor, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah,
somebody who can support you and somebody who has your back, right? That's number 2. And then number 3, I would say is don't think, number 3, I would say is don't think that technology only means computer science or it's only engineering. Technology means many different things, right? So think about technology as there is a problem, and are you interested in solving the problem and building a purpose in life out of it, because you're creating an impact, depending on whatever your values are, right? Yeah. And then if technology can be an element to actually help you solve that problem, think of it more in terms of what are the applications of technology, right? That can be a lot more interesting for a lot of girls out there. And this is the advice that I keep giving my daughters, right? Don't think of technology as computer science, right? Think of it as, especially with the pandemic, with so many corporations coming together to build up vaccines, right? Think about the importance of biotechnology. That's the future, right? And so if you kind of think about having the curiosity mindset, the mindset to, I want to keep learning, I want to keep solving for things, and then I want to, understand math better, right? So develop the importance of learning and coming to love. You may not love math initially. I don't think I loved math initially, right? Yeah. But towards the end, it all starts with being challenged, making the challenge to be in the form of fun problems, right? Something which is fun. So it's all about making sure it's relatable, right? Okay. Build that relatable aspect to it. And once you can relate to it, it'll all naturally follow. So I think those are the 3 things. Yeah.
All right. So let me read back the 3 things. So basically the first was integrating confidence and curiosity, right? That's a marching order. The second is be sure to get a mentor, irrespective of gender or age or whatever, someone who's got your back to help you to be self-aware so that you can really, really see yourself. And then the second is, use tech as an element to solve problems. Don't think about tech as only just computer science, but make it more relatable as to how it can help you get to a solution in life.
Exactly. You put it all together so beautifully.
I took my notes. Awesome. Well, listen, Vidya, thank you so much.
Thank you
for everything that you are and that you do and that you do for us. We are very excited. And thank you to everyone who watched and who will watch this video in the future. It'll sit on the feed. And I really appreciate it, Vidya.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thanks for inviting me.
Awesome. Well, enjoy the rest of your day. And once again, welcome to the Bossy community.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Bye.